Look closely at the inside walls of your raised bed. If the bed is more than a year old, you will probably see a dark, stained line on the wood, sitting 2 or 3 inches above where the soil rests today. Last spring, the bed was full to the brim. Now, it looks half empty. It feels like the soil is simply washing away, or maybe settling deeper into the ground. Every year, thousands of backyard gardeners see this drop level, drive to the store, and wheelbarrow heavy bags of new topsoil into the garden to fill the gap. They think they are fixing a volume problem. But the soil did not wash away. No one stole it in the night. It did something else entirely. And if you keep topping off a sinking bed with standard, heavy dirt, you are setting up a hidden failure that will hit your plants exactly when summer gets hot. The strange part is understanding what actually disappeared. You did not lose dirt. You lost structure. This is where most gardeners get misled. A raised bed is not a attachment selmajovar. Reindama vitur mesa. Reindako digro exemplar que ultima cor bostar. Prasatan suestese logo analiso. Dictami só hof centis poxis poxipocâncoses. Reschaffen a China in des Limster Modaruts. As indolaro de Eurasmus. Revista na pingetet for kraua. Kisa sentimentos ehlers supia paque. Lugra pofra minais formen fique autónomo já na estrava se suja da ventos laico. Zame me poltena mais apego formeza piade de seiko desendendon. Resevopta e o dedoga maimos menem primeiro formeca. They break down the compost, the leaves, and the wood to release the nutrients that feed your tomatoes, peppers, and cucumbers. As the microbes consume this organic matter, a massive physical transformation occurs. The solid material is converted into energy and carbon dioxide. The volume of the soil literally shrinks. It evaporates into the air as gas, and it is pulled up into the physical tissue of your plants. What you are seeing when the soil level drops is not a failure of the bed. It is digestion. The sinking is a receipt. It is proof that the soil web is alive, eating, and working. But a secondary problem happens at the exact same time. As the organic matter is eaten, the physical air pockets inside the soil collapse. Gravity and a long season of overhead watering push the remaining fine particles closer and closer together. The bed is not just getting shorter, it is getting denser. When a gardener sees this drop soil level, the immediate reflex is to restore the old height. The cheapest way to do that is to buy heavy bags labeled garden soil or topsoil and dump them right over the old layer. That looks right on the surface, but it is a structural disaster underneath. True topsoil is largely made of minerals. It is sand, silt, and clay. It is heavy, it is permanent, and it does not shrink. When you dump 4 inches of heavy mineral soil directly on top of a biologically active, digesting lower layer, you create a dense physical cap. This heavy cap pushes down on whatever fragile air pockets remain in the old soil below. Every time it rains, or every time you run the garden hose, the weight of the water pushes the fine silt from the new topsoil down into the porous transition zone. By July, the top 4 inches of your raised bed look rich and full. But right below that, the middle of the bed has turned into a brick. When your plant roots grow down through that new topsoil, they hit this compacted, suffocated middle layer, and they experience a hard stop. The water drains through the top, pools on the hard middle layer, and creates a dead zone. The surface can look deeply cared for while the root zone is quietly struggling. The bed looks rich, but it behaves poor. The fix is not to add more permanent weight. The fix is to replace what was actually consumed. You have to rebuild the organic engine. To correct a sinking bed the right way, start with a simple field test. Take a standard hand trowel and push it into the surface of the old, sunken soil. Do not add anything yet. Just push the metal down. If the trowel slides in easily, the soil still has good structure. But in most sunken beds, the trowel will hit a dense, crusty layer within the first 2 inches. Before you add any new material, you must break that crust. You do not need to deep till the bed or turn the soil completely over. Just take a hand fork and scratch the top 2 inches. Loosen the surface so water and roots will have a way to easily cross the boundary between the old soil and the new material. Now, it is time to rebuild the height. Do not buy heavy topsoil to restore the volume. Instead, you need a combination of fast fuel and slow structure. Fast fuel is pure compost. It is rich, it is dark, and it is ready to feed your plants immediately. But compost alone is a terrible structural filler. If you fill a 3-inch gap entirely with pure compost, the microbes will burn through it so fast that your bed will sink right back down by midsummer. You need to mix that compost with a structural carbon. Structural carbon is organic matter that takes a much longer time to digest. Aged, shredded leaves, dark leaf mold, or fine pine bark are perfect for this. Mixing your compost with 30% shredded leaves or pine bark fines changes how the bed behaves. The compost provides the immediate biological fuel, while the bark or leaves act as physical scaffolding. They hold the soil open. They maintain the air pockets. They rebuild the sponge without adding suffocating weight. Spread 2 to 3 inches of this organic blend over the loosened surface. Level it out gently. If your bed is already planted and you notice the soil dropping mid-season, you have to adapt. You can never pile 3 inches of new material around the stems of existing vegetable plants, or the stems will rot. In an actively growing bed, rely entirely on a top shield. Lay down a heavy, 2-inch layer of organic mulch, like straw, dried untreated grass clippings, or shredded leaves. The mulch will not immediately restore the height of the soil, but it will slowly break down, dripping a steady supply of carbon down to the microbes, keeping the surface from baking into a crust while you wait for the end of the season. When you stop topping off your raised beds with heavy dirt and start replacing the organic sponge, the entire system begins to change. You will notice it first in your watering routine. The bed holds moisture far more steadily. It stops swinging wildly between completely flooded and bone dry in a single afternoon. When the summer heat peaks, you spend less time running out with the hose to rescue wilting plants, because the rebuilt sponge is holding water exactly where the roots can access it. The roots no longer hit a compacted brick halfway down. They move smoothly through the entire profile of the bed. Later in the season, when you add liquid fertilizer or compost tea, you get a much stronger response, because the soil actually has the physical capacity to hold on to what it receives. Look back at that dark ghost mark on the wooden wall of your raised bed. It is not a sign of failure. It is not an empty space waiting to be packed with heavy dirt. It is simply the mark of a process. The soil is digesting, breaking down, and transforming old life into new growth. You do not stop soil from changing. You simply learn how to feed it, so it can rebuild its structure before the next season begins.